right, Flight Sim community, welcome back. This is Beetle Beast again here in Flight Sim 2024. We're going to start off on the next leg of our journey from Great Bend, Kansas over to Hutchinson, Kansas. This one's a little bit further away, but not by much, 50 miles. Hopefully all goes smooth. There is still that weather off to the east. It should not be a factor. I think it's just on the other side of Hutchinson. So we'll just get to rolling here. Power is coming up. And made. Watching the RPM a little bit. She's evening back out. Winds are almost down the runway. Still about 20 knots or so. Typical of Kansas. Airspeed's looking good. And a little bit of back pressure. Alright, we got a positive rate of climb. Gears coming up. Let's go ahead and start making that turn. Goodbye, Great Bend. Got a tower out there. It almost looks from here like a water tower. I'm 110% sure it's not. And come to think of it, I don't know if I've actually noticed any water towers in the small towns. That's one of the things we used to joke about when I was learning how to fly through the Midwest. Every little town had a water tower. No, it's a giant windmill. Every little town had a water tower that you were able to kind of see and identify. And if you really got yourself lost, you could go down there, fly by it, and see what the name written on the water tower was. Have not noticed that in the game. It kind of has me wondering now if I start flying by small towns if I'll actually start seeing water towers or not. Alright, once again the flaps are already up. We're going to go ahead and keep going towards the east here in order to get over to Hutchinson Airport. I'm somewhat familiar with. I did some Lear training and we used a lot of sim time inside of around Hutchinson. Hutchinson and Wichita were very, very popular for us, so we'll fly on over there, and we'll see if we pick up any more information on this weather as we get a little closer to the east. Go ahead and turn that on. And once again, I think we'll stop here at 3,500 feet. We've got a cell. It's got to be 80 miles away. Yeah, it is. 75 miles. That's just on the other side of where we're going. So like I said, I doubt it that we're going to get really into anything here, only because there were some clouds that looked like they were going to be there. If you looked at the satellite imagery, it looked like there might have been some clouds that would be around the area in which we're going. However, the storms themselves, I do believe, are still a little bit further to the east. I'm not sure what my next leg is going to be after Hutchinson. I think we might be zipping down to the southeast again. I mean, that's kind of the general gist of where we're going the entire time. So, we'll take a look. Maybe we'll do that. This one here should be a relatively quick flight as well, which is kind of, once again, what I'm going for here. I like these nice, quick legs. This airplane here helps kind of break up the monotony of the speed, and being stuck at 172 speeds going all the way across Kansas would not be any fun. So off we go to Hutchinson. Also, auto FPS is off for this one. I wasn't sure if I was getting some type of what would I say here, some type of stutter as a result of it. During that previous flight that I had, it didn't look a whole lot different during the last flight. So I'm not real sure. We'll see. We'll see what I have, and I can always reinstall and run it again. But it's off for now. We're going to keep going. Just going to enjoy life while we zip on across the state of Kansas. Like whatever weather was out there has dissipated. Let's take our range out another notch. with the smallest stuff just kind of falling just outside of that 80-mile range. See, I kind of doubt any of it's going to become a factor. Kind of neat that they have the profile view. Once again, I don't know if it's necessarily all that usable. Might just be kind of, I don't want to say it's a gimmick, but I know that's been brought up before. It's like, oh, we've got this cool new radar screen, especially with the I noticed it specifically when our news stations did that maybe 25 years ago. We've got a new radar scope and we can give you guys a side profile. Check a look. And you look at it and go, hey, that's cool. You can use it kind of to say, hey, look, the storm's vertical and it's going up. But 90% of what you really care about for ground-based radar is what's going on the surface. You know, where's the storm at in relation to me, and then, you know, in a bird's eye view, what's it doing? What's it doing? Where is it going? So, maybe not a gimmick, but definitely a little less useful. And I imagine that side profile is kind of in the same boat. But at least you can see, well, at least you might be able to get a better idea as to where it's at in elevation in relationship to you. Which, in an airplane like this, you might be able to get over some small precipitation if you're trying to, especially moisture if you're dealing with icing conditions. But, you know, this airplane has very limited icing capability. The windshield is not heated. The wings are obviously not heated. They have no wet wing design either, where they're putting out TKS fluid. And the prop has the ability to shed ice, which is good. So you're not going to lose forward thrust in the same way that you would on an airplane that starts to accumulate ice on those propeller airfoils, right? But yeah, you're going to be gaining ice over the remainder of the airframe, and that is not going to be conducive to safe flying. So it's not. It's an airplane where if you picked up icing, your best course of action is to get the heck out of wherever you're at that's causing it. And finding warmer air. So a climb or a descent as quickly as you can initiate it. What the Hobbs says over there. I'm curious how much time I've actually flown this airplane now. 4 hours it looks like. Not too shabby. It's been a really good module, so I can say with complete certainty I'm pretty happy with it. It's been easy to fly, fun to fly. Love the animations, the sounds are great. All in all, it's a nice, easy flying airplane. And once again, I say thanks to Carenado for making a module that's incredibly easy to use, very user-friendly, very capable, and does a great job of representing what GA flying is kind of all about. So, good job, guys and gals. Yeah, so I do like the representation, though, of that line of weather, because it does have some elevation to it. You can tell it's definitely up there higher than us. I mean, maybe up into the teens from here, you know, maybe 15,000 feet or so. But it's a full-on line, and you can see it, and you can tell exactly what level of concern any pilot would have looking at that, because you've got a line of storms going from far north of you, all the way to the horizon, to an area far south of you, all the way to the horizon, and it looks like a wall, right? It's definitely not something you're going to want to go through. If you can find an area where you can get underneath and avoid the precipitation, it's not bad normally. And you may not be able to top it in an airplane like this. So looking at that, this is a situation where if you've got to go through something like that and you're not going to be able to stay underneath it, you're not going to be able to get above it, you're better off putting the airplane on the ground, waiting it out, than attempting to just say, I'll just penetrate and find my way, even with the radar, looking for those thinner areas. So, I mean, if we look even here, you can obviously see this line should be going kind of in that direction. And you can see a few different indentions here where, I mean, you could obviously probably penetrate right through there. We're not having to worry about a whole lot of precipitation. But once you go IMC, you see nothing anymore. So now you're stuck to looking at nothing but the radar and interpreting the radar and using that to hopefully keep you safe. So my best bet is if you can avoid going IMC, do so. If you're stuck and you've got to go IMC, or you're going to be IMC no matter what you do, then you really need to know how your weather radar works, so that you can keep yourself, out of trouble and keep yourself safe. And like I said, if you're using this as a practice tool and you don't have experience with it, you're not going to get a whole lot from it. It's just not all there. So we got 20 miles still, and looks like the storms are about 60 miles off our nose. So that one there we're not going to be catching, but we'll be landing on this side of the weather. But obviously, like I said, you can see it, and hopefully here on the next leg we will be taking off and then going through the storm as we kind of pass ourselves further to the east. So hopefully we'll be able to do that on our next episode, and the weather will be a little bit closer to where we're at. But all in all, we're making good time and crushing through Kansas, so I'm pretty happy about that. Take a peek and see what the weather's doing over in Hutchinson. Weather in Hutchinson, oh, we've got some rain. 160 at 13, 10 miles light rain, few clouds, 4,100 feet, few at 8,000, broken at 10,000, 23 degrees, 2995. On our altimeter setting. Peak wind 170 at 28. All right. Once again, decently strong winds out of the south. FAA chart for the airport diagram. Let's see what we've got. We've got a 1.3. There is a 1.7. That'll be more into the wind. I kind of like that. It is 4,000 feet, which is plenty long for our airplane. So let's go with that. We'll go with 1.7. I think the winds, like I said, were 160, and they were gusting up around 28 at the max. So we'll plan for that. Let's take a peek, see if there's any approach. I doubt it for 1.7. Oh, there's an RNAV. See, maybe we can get it to load. Get out of that screen. Elevation's at 1,500, we need to be at 2,500. Activate, vectors to final. Sure, let's go ahead and do it. We'll mess everything up. So 173 will be our inbound course. So something right around there. Don't see any rain over there in Hutchinson yet. Should be pretty well established there on that course. That should work out okay. You know what we could do? Let's go to procedure again. Approach 17. So there's one called Ojali. So we can go direct to Ojali. And where is Ojali at? Way to the north. I'm definitely not doing that. Ha! You've caught me, and I'm not going to do what you want me to. All right, so the airport's going to be nearly up ahead, so we're going straight ahead. I'm not turning around to do anything silly like that when there's not a ton of good reason to. That's what I get for trying to make myself be more appropriate. Sorry, I'm lazy. It's visual. It's VFR. I'm flying there, and I'm landing. I'm going down to 2,500 feet, and let's see if we can get ourselves direct back to the airport as opposed to this. Give me Hutchinson. I want Hutchinson. No. And now I'll never find it again. Coming up ahead of us, so we're doing okay. But, and we're working our way down to altitude. I can see the airspace starting to show up. There's the HUVOR, or NDB right there, which is used, I think, on the RNAV. Or no, the NDB approach. I don't know if we shot the NDB up here all the time or if we were shooting the VOR approach, and that was one of the fixes that we had to fly over. I'm sure somebody who's in the comments will remember and be like, I've done all my training. I did a bunch of training on flight safety in Wichita, and we always were shooting this Hutchinson stuff. So, see the first runway there. We're going to be landing, like I said, to the south. I'm going to turn in here. We'll make this another right base, kind of fly past this runway. And our runway should be going right through the middle of the airport, north to south. There's a little lightning. There's the final. Yeah, of course, the place we were trying to go to is way out there, so we would have been flying around that weather. Let's bring ourselves in a little bit. So we have some decent rain showers off to our left. You can see those here, obviously. We've got some more over there to the right. None of that's going to be a factor for us from where we're going and where we're at. What we'll have to be looking at, of course, are just kind of crazy winds, if anything's getting pushed out from that storm. Real life scenario, of course, you would be a little bit concerned about that. If you do have storms overhead, major precipitation coming out of them, you do run the risk of massive downdrafts, microburst potential. It does increase. So that's one of those things you'd have to be keeping an eye out for. Otherwise, if you have steady state rainfall, your airplane can get a nice bath. Alright, I see the runway that I'm going to land on. We'll try not to get struck by lightning either, huh? Alright. I think we're good. We're not going to be using the radar anymore. It's coming off. Speed's good. Gear's coming down. I've got a wheel. I've got green lights. And obviously Hutchinson Tower. This is 5883 Bravo Bravo, just to the north on that visual approach for only 17. I'm certain you cleared me into your airspace. So you might have a little bit of wind coming out of the left. Definitely kind of pushing us around a bit. out your flaps are in. A little bit of enrichment on the mixture. Fields made, power's out. A little bit of left crosswind, but not much. Flaps are coming up. All right, and that should be all for today's flight. Once again, as you already know, thank you for watching. All greatly appreciated. I appreciate the support of the channel and giving me someone to hopefully communicate with when you guys are actually listening to what it is I have to say, to learn a little bit more about aviation. We're all out here trying to learn. The private pilot's license is exactly that, and I think that being able to throw some of that stuff into real life scenarios inside a flight sim just further expands the community to give people a chance to experience this who normally do not. So hopefully you guys are having fun inside a flight sim. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy simming, enjoy, and fly safe. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.